Right, Tom, you pull in closer. Okay. And Duggar, you're going to go on and lean down a little bit so you can see the deer. Dad, in fact, you're in front of your deer. Can't see his head very well.
Okay.
All right. Maybe if you just moved over. Okay, well, that's cool. That's nice. Ooh, that's really nice. That's very nice. I like that a lot. Okay.
Well, let's get that show on the road.
All right. It's video, man. It's video.
It's live.
It's
Action
live.
cam.
It's live video. So we're getting it as it happens now.
So now we say hello to our lovely ladies at home.
Hey,
People
thank
on
you.
video.
Love it. This is great. 2001.
Maybe we should start a good argument.
All right, then I'll switch cameras and we'll do one more. All right.
We went out onto the Pollock's Point out in that area. Joshua went down in the hole. I went on Beaver Point. And it was a very uneventful day. I didn't see a thing. Just one chickadee. And that's it for all day. Had a good time. Weather was tremendous. And I guess that's about it for 2001. So far.
Hello, this is Doug. First morning at about 8:30, about maybe a little bit before that. I was looking actually to the west. I heard something and I sit down quite a bit in my stand, and I actually stood up for a couple minutes and just right directly to the west of the stand that I was on. And we don't have the name of our stand, but I was out on Don's on Papa Don's North stand, and direct west was two good-sized deer that I spooked, or was spooked, and they went towards Papa Don's stand, that direction, and it wasn't a minute later.
What he's trying to say is a minute later, all hell broke loose, and him and Todd were got their ears full. The two deer going to cross over my ridge, and I opened up on them and emptied my gun on them, and ended up getting a nice buck out of it. And so that turns out to be a lot of fun for me. And then Doug came over, and fortunately I needed his help because the thing was big enough that I couldn't handle it for cleaning out and that. And so Doug helped hold the thing, and I made use out of a good a knife that I got from Todd for my birthday. The thing had a kind of a saw tooth to it, so that I could chop right through that bone on down on the pelvis. And so we got it cleaned up and hung it in a tree down there, and that's about the most excitement that I had as far as the woods is concerned. Although I had an enjoyable day with loafing in the balmy weather. After this afternoon, I got a few 10-minute breaks for sleeping, and I don't know if anything came by while I was sleeping or not, but I didn't care. Had a good time.
Okay, my Saturday morning I was at Hatchet Ridge on the sand there, and somewhere around 7 o'clock I saw a silhouette of a deer pass by, and if I could have seen it just a second or two earlier, I probably could have had a decent shot on it, but tried to do my my shoot by it and have it turn towards me, but it didn't work, and so that was all the action I saw for today.
Okay,
This is Ryan. I started off this morning, northeast blue line stand, Poachers now named as of yesterday. Nothing really occurred this morning much. Heard a few shots south of me. Wasn't sure where they're coming from. Then after my ass got a little sore, stood up for a little while, moving around in the stand, set my gun down. Go to reach and take my glove off as I drop it off my stand, and just as I do, I look straight almost east of me, and here's a deer moving through the woods, making absolutely no noise. Just lucky to catch it. So got a little nervous, grabbed the gun, and got it in the sight. Right as I get it in the sight, I noticed it's got some antlers on it, so I knew it was a buck right away. But it moves into the brush, couldn't get a shot off. Was hoping it'd come back, and sure enough, it turned around and plugged away one shot, and it went down clear. Waited a while, then my dad showed up, and we went and cleaned it. And that's pretty much all the action I had today.
Morning and afternoon, Jerry Kuss. This morning, 6:30, got onto the stand, 6:35. I saw a deer walking and took a shot at it, and through the brush, it was headed towards the pine tree. I was on, obviously, my swing set out there by the river. Thought I had it, and got down off the stand, and there was no deer there. A little while later, heard Duane shoot. My assumption was that I missed, and he was going to get it. And as the story turns out, he was just taking a poke at it as well. So that one was a lucky deer. It was his day. Saw another deer, kind of a monster buck behind me a while later, a couple hours later this morning. He was chasing a doe heading south, or actually heading west on the south side of me towards John. Nothing ever became of that one, so we never saw that one again. Hopefully we'll get him tomorrow. This afternoon, I got to my stand about 1:15, fell asleep at about 1:16, and curled up right up on top of the stand, slept for about an hour, woke up at about 2:15, and realized that I was having a great afternoon, and decided to go back to sleep. Curled up again, slept until about 3:15. Realized that I was still having a wonderful afternoon in the sun, and so I went back to sleep. Slept till about 3:45. Decided, well, now it's about time I should start hunting and looking for deer. And lo and behold, I forget what time it was, but 4:45, as was commented by Duane. 4:45 was when finally, yes, I was awake, and yes, I was looking for deer. The nice little deer came across the south side of me. Was able to finally use my scope this year, and found it. Used the tree stand as kind of a tripod. Was able to find it in the scope. Dropped down and killed it, dropped right there. Nice little spiked buck for the year. So another afternoon deer for myself, and brings me to the greatest amount of afternoon shots, according to the history anyways. So successful for myself this afternoon, and I guess my son Joshua is next. So
this is Joshua, and I was on the stand in the hole, and I only saw one deer that was walking east in the real thick brush, and then head poked out of the brush, turned south, walked away, never got a shot off. And then in the morning, in the afternoon, I didn't see anything, no action.
So you were on Poleaxe Point, right? Stand in the hole off Poleaxe Point.
Yep, stand in the hole, Poleaxe Point.
Oh, we got to add to that where Joshua has commented that he almost fell off his stand this morning.
Twice.
Right? Twice?
Twice.
Down on the lowland there. We need to tip it up a little bit so he doesn't fall off.
That wouldn't be good.
It's like that.
Yes,
The stand's like
not
that.
good.
We have a stand out there with training wheels on it, don't we? Maybe that would work. This is Todd, and I don't have much to say today as I haven't seen a deer. This morning I did hear a deer though, and when I was sitting down on the North Knoll, behind me heard heavy breathing that I could tell was a deer breathing hard at me, and by the time I tried to slowly get up and to get a look at it, there was nothing to see, and after 4 hard breaths or so, never did hear another thing and never saw it. So that's all I did. I went to the blue line on the north end late in the afternoon, and beautiful day, didn't see a thing. So that's all I have to say. You also slept under stand, right? Slept under the stand, yep. For about an hour. Woke up about 3:30 just in time for quality time for hunting. So.
Well, this is Doug again, and since everybody mentioned about what they did in the morning and in the evening hunt, I did not mention about where I went in the evening. And we are, as of this date of 2001, Duane has a mission on naming the stands, and there's a new stand that I went on. It is now named Sears Tower by Ryan Kuss, and it is a very appropriate name because you are literally, how high, 15 feet up in there? It's high, and it...
That's the same one Ryan shot his first deer off.
Yes, that's the stand that Ryan shot his first deer off of, that particular stand. And that stand is also off of in the north side, west of Daune's stand. But there I more or less made a trail. There was a trail, but I didn't find a trail, so I made my own trail to get to the stand. And then once I got there, I noticed that the road was so close that I made a trail from the Sears Tower to the road. So at least you can get a 4-wheeler, 3-wheeler, easy walking to the Sears Tower. And myself, I didn't see anything, hear anything. Gray squirrel. I saw 2 gray squirrels and 1 grouse.
Okay, Sunday morning. This is Duane. I was out on Todd's North Knoll stand, and it was a beautiful morning again. I'm guessing that before it's done here, it'll rise up into the 60s again. But I had a frozen good night before. I'm eating one of Johnny's hot dogs, by the way. Quick lunch. And so, beautiful morning. Got into a routine of looking back and forth, back and forth. 8:45, I looked to my right, slightly to my right, straight to the south. And here's 2 deer, boom, right there. And initially I would have sworn it was a buck. And so when that moved off to the right, I hit it without any question. And thinking it was a buck, I didn't hesitate. I came back and took the second deer as well. Ended up being a doe and a fawn in the end. So then the 2 deer are laying down, and Doug comes trooping through. And I have him come up to my stand, and it was only about 10 minutes, and he said, well, go down and get your deer. And I was hesitant to do it. And but I decided, okay, I'll try it. And I got to the doe, and the doe was deader than a doornail, no question about that. And as I strolled over to look for the other one, and this time I learned my lesson from the time previous year when Todd had one down. I had scope off and everything ready to go, and when this other deer got up and started running away, took 2 shots, but my second shot put it down totally. And then I walked away from it, and back to the doe and gutted her out. By the time that was done, went back to the fawn. Actually, it's probably a yearling. Went back to the yearling and gutted it out as well. So certainly a productive Sunday morning for me.
Sunday morning, 2001 deer hunting. This is Ryan. I headed off this morning to what is known as Sears Tower. Climbed up to the top, took a seat, and the most action I got pretty much all morning was some chickadees flying around me and the shots that I heard coming from my dad. Looked over at Doug, I could see in the scope he was getting down off his stand, so I then at around 9:30 walked over, saw Grandpa, and up to Doug's stand and over to my dad's stand where we hauled the deer off, and that was my morning.
Hi, this is Joshua. This morning I was on the Swingset, which is just south of the pine tree, and after about 10 minutes after I got to my stand, a real tiny fawn with spots and everything walked past, followed it past, and I was expecting a doe sometime later, but there was never anything, and otherwise there was no action at all.
This is Todd. This Sunday morning I went to the Blue Line poacher stand, and everything was all quiet there. A couple of grouse. Till about 8:45, finally I had been sitting down and heard some tramping behind me, and turned, and down the ridge came a buck. I saw antlers right away on it. It was a very nice sized buck. I'm thinking like an 8-pointer, and finally got a place to put a shot in, and he wasn't too far away, and cling, all I got was firing pin hitting, but no firing. And thought about what to do for a second, and lo and behold, Duane shot. As Duane shot and that shot roared across the woods, I clacked in a second shell. And the buck didn't spook. He stayed there, taking a few steps this way and that way. And so I actually got down and got a grunt on my grunt call, and that seemed to spark his interest a little more. Again, he didn't spook, and he finally turned and took a couple steps where I could get another shot. And cling, firing pin, hit, again, no shot. So, and that spooked the buck, and he went bounding off. And so the end of this story, I guess, is now I know exactly what I need to pay attention to on my firing pin in particular. You know, it fired off a couple of shots there afterwards just fine, but it must be a little fussy on my gun, so something I'll have to pay attention to. And we got 5 deer, but I didn't get one, so I'll have to get one next year.
Just happens that all that shooting this morning might have been somewhat brought on by me, because I went chasing after that possible. I took off from my stand, and it wasn't 2 minutes, and as somebody started shooting just north of me, and I guess it was Duane on using Todd's stand, and he shot a couple of deer. Anyway, I'm out going to check the trail going southeast from the shooting I did yesterday, and so I proceeded on. I got another 100 or 200 yards, and some more shooting took place. And so I guess that was Todd. But anyhow, I had the feeling that I might be moving something around a little bit, and so I proceeded on around to the trail on the south, and took the trails back to my stand, and proceeded to hook up my buck to Big Red, and Ryan come along to help me with that, and so I had a good day and a lot of fun.
Okay, this year has been a fabulous year. the warm weather. My son Josh with us officially hunting. It's been very memorable. Didn't see anything this morning, but Josh did see a spotted fawn, which was cool. So anyways, 2001, great season. Thank you.